Welcome to the Joy of Graphing. So glad you could join us. Today we're going to be drawing prehistoric Earth. All the equations that we're going to use are going to flash across the bottom of your screen now. Of course, feel free to use your own mathematical creativity. As we draw prehistoric Earth, we're going to be drawing a lava-covered ground with an active volcano, shooting up plumes of smoke into the sky as a pterodactyl swoops by. Let's get started. We're going to have the ground, and it will be shaded black. However, if it's going to be lava covered, it doesn't need to just be black. It needs to be a mixture of black and red. Let's also have a volcano coming up like so. That one's going to be a rational function, and it's going to be spewing forth some orange clouds. Also, we're going to have a pterodactyl. Let's put our pterodactyl over here. It's going to look about like that and have a triangular head that comes down. There we go. Swooping across the sky. Let's go to desmos.com/calculator. Let's get started. Let's begin on Desmos by drawing the ground. When we do that, we're going to need a horizontal line. So it's going to be y equals, well, y equals what? Let's just go down to -3. So y equals -3. Actually, we're going to need to shade all of that, and we're going to shade it black. So instead of equals, let's actually do less than or equal to. And right now it's red, and we're going to change it to black. So we'll click the gear and edit to black. There we go. We have the ground. And now we're going to get a volcano. When we get this volcano, we're going to need something that comes up like this. And to me, that looks like a rational function, something with an asymptote. So let's go ahead and draw the most basic rational function. Y equals 1 over x. Okay, well clearly that's not going to work. And so we need to take this bottom part and flip it up. And also while we're at it, we can change the steepness. So if we square that denominator, that makes everything positive, and also it changes the steepness of it just a little bit. Clearly we don't have a good volcano yet. Let's shift it over a little bit. Let's put the volcano over on the right side a little bit. Let's shift it over to about 3 or 4. Let's put that denominator in parentheses with a squared outside, and we'll shift it 3. We're going to shift it over to 3. And clearly it's too high, it's sitting above the ground, so we're going to take the whole thing and do a vertical shift down to meet the ground, so -3. And while we're at it, we can shade this, so instead of equals, we're going to have less than or equal to, and I've never seen a blue volcano. I'm going to change it to red, so we'll click the gear and we will edit that, change it to red, and we have pretty much what we need. However, we have a problem. We need to chop off the top of the volcano because it keeps on going up. So we want it to stop at about where y equals 1 or 2, somewhere in between, so 1.5 sounds good. So we'll put the brackets over beside this inequality, and we'll go we'll go y is less than or equal to 1.5, and it chops the top of the volcano off. And so now we have this very steep volcano with an open crevice at the top. Alright, let's get some plumes of smoke coming from our volcano. Well, the first plume of smoke is going to be right above the lip of it, and I think it should spread out as it goes, so we're going to have ellipses that get bigger and bigger as they go. So we're going to go ahead and type the standard form of an ellipse, and that would be x minus h squared, we'll deal with that later, over a squared, plus y, parentheses, y minus something squared over b squared is less than or equal to 1. I'm saying less than or equal to because I want this to be shaded in. And so now we have to decide how big it's going to be and where it's going to be. Well, let's go ahead and figure out where it's going to be first. I think the center of our first plume of smoke, our ellipse, should be around here somewhere, and that is at 3, 2.5. So x minus 3, and then y minus 2.5, And let's just start typing some numbers. Let's put a 1 here and a 1 here. And when we do, we have a very large circular green plume of smoke. Wrong color, we'll fix that. But let's fix the shape. It needs to be an ellipse. So these denominators do not need to be the same. I'm okay with the width of it. I'm not okay with the height of it. So let's squeeze it down a little bit. That is a y issue. So underneath the y, we're going to change it from 1 to about 0.5 squared. Now when we make it 0.5 squared, what that means is from the center to the top, from the center to the bottom, it's 1/2. I'm backtracking on something I said. I don't like the width of it. You do whatever you like with it, but I don't like the width. I don't like it being 1. I would rather it be about 3/4. So 0.75 squared. There we go. And we will change it to be, let's see, what color is smoke? Well, black, but that's going to be the color of my pterodactyl. Let's go with orange. There we go. Our second plume of smoke is going to be up here and a little bit wider. And then the third one is going to be up there and a little bit wider than that. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it 2 more times. And change the color of them all to be orange. Okay, we're done. So let's start moving them and then we'll change the shape. So the second one needs to be around here, maybe at 3, 4. So at 3, 4, there's the second one. And the third one needs to be about here perhaps, at 3, 6. Use your creative discretion there. I think that's a little too high. Let's go down to 5.5. That's better. There we go. That's spaced more evenly. And now I'm going to change the shape of mine and let it be coming, as it comes out, it spreads out a little bit more. So the second ellipse, the second plume of smoke, is going to be, personal opinion, same height but a little bit wider, and the width of it is determined by the number under the X. I'm going to let it be 1 squared, which is just 1, of course. Let's go a little wider than that. Let's go 1.3 squared. There we go. That's a good width. And then the one below that will be even wider. So let's try 2 squared and see what happens. A little too wide for my taste. Let's go 1.7. Personal preference, of course. There we go. We have an active volcano that is spewing smoke. Plumes of smoke are coming out, widening as they go. Alright, let's draw a pterodactyl now. When we draw this pterodactyl, we're going to need the upper part of the wing and the lower part of the wing, and we're going to have a little triangular head that hangs down from it. You draw it however you find creatively necessary to draw it. So let's do this. I'm going to start with the most basic form of a parabola, and I'm going to start sliding things around until I get them exactly where I want them. So I'm going to use the slider function on Desmos, and we're going to add a slider for all of those. And this, it's the right color too. I'm going to have a black pterodactyl because I've never seen a blue one. And what we're going to do is take this pterodactyl, this parabola that you see, turn it into a pterodactyl over here, and it's going to be coming down. So let's change the shape of it first. Let's let it come down, swooping down. The wings are coming down. That's good right there. We'll probably modify that a little. Let's shift the H value. I think that's good. Let's put it at -4. And let's shift the K value. Let's slide this pterodactyl up. I think right about at 4 should work. And so now we're going to start tinkering with it a little bit more. I'm wanting the wings, personally, wanting the wings to spread out a little bit more. So -0.01, that's a little too far. -0.04, -0.03. Let's see, -0.03. I think that'll work. Let's do that. Okay, well, now that I have found my parameters, my A, my H, and my K, I'm going to plug those in instead of having these sliders that clutter things. X minus H, X minus -4, so X plus 4, and then plus K, so we're going to add 4 there. We'll delete A, H, and K. Alright, well, where are we going with this? That's the top part of it. What's the bottom part of it going to be? Well, the bottom part of it is going to be another parabola that comes up and meets it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sandwich the parabola in between, I'm going to sandwich the y value in between two parabolas. I'm going to copy that little piece right there, and I'm going to paste it in the front. Now let's watch what's going on. Right here where my cursor is flashing, I'm going to put less than or equal to, and I'm going to change this one to less than or equal to. And then as I begin to change this parabola, you'll see our pterodactyl take shape. So let's start by sliding it down. So instead of +4, let's go +3. See what's happening? Clearly, that's not going to work, but we'll start tweaking it a little bit more. I think the pterodactyl actually is going to be too tall. Let's go 3.5. There we go. That should work. Let's modify the width of the wings, or the shape of the wings. Let's make this 0.03. Let's try 0.04. No, clearly not going to work. We have an infinite pterodactyl. 0.02. That's a really wide pterodactyl. Okay, so let's start trying to tweak this a little bit. I think we could probably swoop the wings down a little further on the upper end. So instead of 0.03, let's make it 0.04. That takes it down a little further. 0.05 would take it down even further. And I'm going to take this one up to 0.03. There we go. And I still feel like that's just a little bit too wide. So I'm going to squeeze our pterodactyl just a little bit. So instead of it being 0.5 tall, going from 3.5 to 4, I'm going to let it be 3.7. There we go. That's a better pterodactyl right there. Okay, well, where's his head? Well, his head is going to be a triangle, an absolute value. So let's go ahead and draw that. Y is equal to a absolute value, so a vertical bar, x minus h plus k, and we'll start sliding some stuff around. Okay. All right, let's get a relatively skinny pterodactyl head, because I've never seen one with a really wide beak. All right, we'll slide the h value over to -4. I knew where it was going to go. We're going to center this on here. And then we'll slide this up to about wherever you think it looks best, about right here. There we go. All right, let's plug these numbers in. So A is 3.9. Of course, you can leave the sliders, but in my opinion, it clutters the work we're doing. Once we know our numbers, we can leave it that way. There we go. We have what we need. We can delete those sliders now. And we have the wrong color head. We have not shaded it, and it goes up forever. So we're going to need to stop it at some point. So let's take out this y equals. Here's the thing. We're going to have an absolute value with the upper end as a horizontal line, and we're going to shade everything in between. So this is the lower end, so less than or equal to the y values that we shade in between. Less than or equal to what? I'm going to pick a random number and it's going to be wrong. 6. That's not going to work. Clearly it needs to come down a little bit. We're going to bring it down to about 3.5. Now he's disconnected from the rest of his body. So if we bring it up, I'm going to bring it up to 3.7. You see why? I'm going to match it with the lower half of the body, lower part of the body. And we are almost finished. All we have to do now is color his head. And there we go. We have a very awkward looking pterodactyl that is flying by a volcano that is pouring out smoke. I'm going to take the grids down and the X and the Y axis. And there we go. We're finished. Isn't it lovely? Enjoy your graphing.